Okay, so right now we can change the floor decoration, west wall and north wall, and also change the biome with a map. But we also want to be able to add or remove floor levels. So we're gonna do that now. There's a couple of things we need to change first though. Inside OBJ controller in the create event, we have a new variable or a new macro called max levels. Set to 12. All this means is that we're not going to allow ourselves to make more than, or we're not going to make anything higher than 12 levels basically. Just zoom in as well. There we go, it's better. Then if we go into the create event of the map editor, zoom back out, that's okay. So you can see this is this for loop and this line here, line 13 and line 11. We were using this to create a floor grid before and filling it with lists. Well, I think I mentioned before that we are going to be using a script for this kind of thing, and today is when we're going to start using that, because every time we add a floor to our map, we might as well just use a script to do it. And if we're going to use a script, then we can use it in the create event as well. We do want to keep vcells. We don't need any of this stuff apart from vcells, because vcells is used by the camera creation code that's further down. We also have a new variable called current level. This is going to track which level we are working on. We have a list. This list is going to hold all of the floor grids for the current map. So every map's going to have a floor grid for every level, and current map list holds those floor grids basically. And here is the script that I was talking about. I'm going to make that in a minute. We're going to pass it the map list and the current level. So what level do we want to make this floor on? So these lines are new. So if we go into the script, let me just change that. So at the top we have the name of the function, the script. We're passing it the map list and current level. Just make sure you got these 4 lines down. Then we're setting H cells and V cells to 10 for now. In the future we're going to use this code, which is why I didn't delete it, but for now we're just going to set it to 10. We're going to try and keep things as similar as possible to what we had before. We're then going to create a grid called floor grid, give it the width and height of the H cells and V cells. And then if we are creating the very bottom level, if we're at the very bottom level, we want to set index to 1, otherwise index is 0. What's index going to be used for? Well, this double for loop does the same thing that we did in the create event, apart from if we are setting the ground, we're going to set it to 1 if the current level is 0, otherwise ground is going to be 0 as well. And then we're just going to add data list to floor grid like we did before. You can probably copy and paste the code from the create event and just modify it so it looks like this. It should be very similar. And then we just simply add the floor grid to our map list, the current map list. And you can see this, that's why we can use this script, because this code's going to work for every floor. You don't have to put the show debug messages, but it's useful for debugging purposes. Okay, so now we're going to add 2 more things and we're going to test it to make sure our code still works. So we want to go into the step event of the map editor. At the very top, we're going to add a new line, this one here. So var floor grid equals current map list, and inside the list we're going to say current level. And then if we go into the draw event, same object, we have 2 lines I think. So we have this line at the top for var levels equals 0. Levels is less than ds list size current map list, levels plus plus. And then we have var floor grid equals current map list levels, because we're grabbing the grid from the list now, as opposed to just having one grid. And then don't forget to make sure we have a closing curly bracket at the very bottom, and the previous code should just be inside that if statement, or sorry, inside this new for loop. So all this should be inside. So if we run the game now, we should be able to do the same things we did before, except it's working differently. Like so. And is it shift? Yeah, shift R and T to change the biome. Cool. Okay, so we're actually going to be able to add new floors now. So to do that, go into the step of the map editor, and we have a brand new region at the bottom called change or increase level. And inside there we have two blocks. We have if pressed up and if pressed down. Let's tackle if pressed up first. So we're only going to be allowing ourselves to create a new floor if current level equals the top floor. It just worked it out easier to do it that way. So I'll just explain what this code does. This block here, so this, whenever we're pressing up, this is always going to run as long as current level +1 is less than the size of the list. So basically, as long as current level is not the top floor, then increase it. Otherwise, if we're not holding shift and current level is at the top floor and we're pressing up, then we're just going to set current level back to 0 so we can rotate between levels. If we are holding shift and current level is at the top level, then we're going to make a new level. So one more check though is we're only going to make that new level if the size of the map list is less than max levels, i.e. we don't already have 12 floors in that list. So if all these conditions are true and we can make a new level, we're going to increase current level by 1 so that it's now the new top level, and create a new floor for that new top level, which we've already got a script for, which is the same script we use in the create event. Then if we're pressing down, this is a bit more straightforward. So if we're not holding shift, if current level take away 1 is greater than or equal to 0, then reduce 1 from it. Otherwise, just set current level to be the size of the list, take away 1. So we're just rotating between the levels here. If we are holding shift and current level is greater than 0, reduce 1 from current level and delete the floor. So this is going to be our last thing and last script to do for today, and we're passing it current map list. So if we go into that script, if you make it first and then go into it. So here's the top of it. We're just going to delete the highest floor. So last pos is going to be the size of the list take away 1. Floor grid is going to be the highest floor grid we currently have. What we need to do, if you remember the floor grid, this guy here, this grid has a list in every cell. You never want to delete a data structure that holds other data structures, because that's how you get memory leaks. So the first thing we need to do is get rid of all the lists that are stored inside this grid, which is what this double for loop is going to do. Then we can destroy the floor grid that we got from the map list, but map list is still going to hold the pointer to that floor grid, so we have to then delete the grid pointer from that list as well, which is what this line does, and that's going to delete everything that we need to. So if we now run the game, we can see this in action. So there's one last thing to do. Totally forgot, in the draw event of the map editor, we're updating our draw Y from this to this. So we're just taking into account levels this time. So it's the levels times tile height times 2 that makes all the difference. So just make sure you have this down. I'm going to zoom in. This. And when you run game, it should all work properly. I'm going to switch my biome to barn, because there's actually useful stuff for barns. So I'm just gonna stick a wall on the edge. Then I'm going to press shift and up to make a new level. That's the one that I want. And let's give ourselves a floor as well. This one will do. Just going to press shift and click. So we've got a floor at the top, and I'm just going to delete. Oops, that's the wrong one. Yeah, I'm deleting too much. Anyway, you should have something like this where you can add floors and delete them. I should probably, well, let me just finish this and then I'm going to delete a floor. There we go. So let's add a new floor. Let's spam a different tile. So we can see we've got a roof kind of, but then what happens if I hate my creation? I'm just going to delete them all. So I'm going to keep pressing shift and down, and I can't delete the bottom floor, which is as it should be. If I keep pressing shift and up, how high do I go? Like, this is the highest we can have. It's pretty high. Let's make a floor here. Oops. There we go. So that's as high as we can go. This would have to be the roof. So let's change that actually. So this would have to be the roof of a very tall building. And that's it for this episode. Thank you for watching. I will catch you next time. Bye for now.